The much awaited 100% ownership on the mainland is finally here. To get some insights, we have expert Carl Dowling, who is the partner in the CBD Corporate Services. Hi Carl, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you, Deepak. How are you?
What do you think has been the catalyst to come to this stage for the UAE leadership and the authorities?
That's a $100 million question. I think the UAE is just trying to keep its edge. The UAE's been long at the forefront of foreign investment for the whole GCC, Middle Eastern region, you could argue. And I think it's just looking to maintain that edge. Many of the other GCC states in particular are developing quite quickly at the moment. I think UAE is just wanting to stay at the forefront. And I think this change reflects their vision to just keep pushing the UAE further into the future and just maintaining that dominant position in the region.
What happens to the 40-odd free zones that we have? Because this was one of the USPs that they had. Are we looking in some consolidation, or what's the next step for them?
I think we need to wait and see what develops from here to see where the free zones will position themselves. Any free zone that's attached to a port, whether it be sea or air, is going to maintain its edge just for allowing goods to free flow between the UAE and Middle East, Africa, in Indian subcontinent, just through the fact that you're not paying duty on the goods whilst you're holding it here. So I think they will still maintain an edge, but I have the feeling there's potentially more developments coming in the near future that will sustain that free zone edge.
Perfect. I'm getting a little more to details. So they say that the full ownership doesn't apply to commercial agencies. Can you explain what does it mean?
Yes, so the commercial agency's law is separate to the company's law. Commercial agency can only be held by a UAE national or 100% UAE nationally owned business. So that law remains unchanged. That agency has long been held for a multitude of industries, automotive, trading. So many of the brands you see in the UAE have long-standing trading relationships. So I think the UAE wants to continue having that relationship, especially with some of the primary sectors. But that largely remains unchanged. But there's still the opportunity for many of those brands to continue having their regional presence here, continue focusing on the region out of Dubai and the UAE in general.
Right. So after this implementation, I start a company in Dubai where I'm 100% owner. I want to open a branch in Abu Dhabi. What's the procedure, and is it clear? Is it clear? Have they given enough processes on that as well?
Very good question. You have to be very careful about what steps you take at the very start. So don't open a business without exploring where your business plan may take you. So I've had this same conversation with many clients over the years. There is always that drive to set up quickly, attack the market. But when you are in a country that has 7 independent emirates, there are 40 plus free zones, where you're going to be transacting with your customer is key for deciding what license you need and what legal structure you can set your business up with. So if you have a plan to, as an example, set up in Dubai and then later have an Abu Dhabi branch, the ownership allowances are different between the 2 emirates. Even if you then want to extend to Ras Al Khaimah, Fujairah, the activities open to 100% foreign ownership may differ. So our advice to clients, especially at the moment, even existing businesses, is to hold, evaluate what you have at the moment, see if you have branches in other emirates, conduct some due diligence, find out whether you can take up the opportunity, and then see whether or not you want to pivot with your existing business or potentially look at opening up a separate business where if you are looking for more ownership, then you could potentially get it in some areas but not others. So it most likely become a multitude of factors.
Thank you. That was very insightful. I know the primary idea of this is to have more FDI, but you also see some activity around M&As because now a foreign company can own business in mainland. So you see any increase in that aspect?
Yes, I think that will come. In the last 6 months, there's been quite a lot of M&A activity. Dubai's been, I think, stand out around the globe for handling the pandemic so well and keeping the business environment alive. So I think what you will see is in the next 3 to 6 months, that M&A activity increase. So right now, if the allowance has been given, you have to allow time for funds to be raised, set the criteria and then look for acquisitions. But definitely allowing 100% ownership will make M&A transactions easier, because then you aren't looking at 2, 3, 4 more parties. You can potentially just look at one.
As a single person LLC, it was only possible for UAE nationals.
Yes.
Can the expats do it now?
Yes. So great development. As soon as they announced 100% foreign ownership, that was actually my first question. That you can now, as a foreign national, own a business 100%. So you could walk in tomorrow to the DED. You can actually apply online now and set up a business 100% in your name. LLC, as an investor, your interests are protected and operate the same day.
You've read the law, you read the announcements. Where do you think are the positives and not so good things about this development?
I think the positives run across a number of verticals. So what caught me, and specifically Dubai and Abu Dhabi with their list, is that the very high investment businesses were tackled straight away. So manufacturing, as an example, great. Building a factory, one of the costliest setups you could have as a new business, that's completely open, 100%. Dubai has done really well at sticking to its roots. It was always a trading hub, so it was a surprise to me, but I think it's a great initiative that they kind of remember their roots and say, no, we were a trading hub, let's open up all the trading activities. So I think between the two Emirates, they've found their niche, and depending where you want to operate, there's opportunity there. So I think it's a win-win all round. Even though there are some disparities between the two lists, that's where you can argue that more homework needs to be done. But at the end of the day, if you want to set up a business on your own in Dubai, go for it. If Abu Dhabi doesn't allow it, you've still got it in Dubai. Abu Dhabi, you may just need to find a partner for that business alone, but doesn't take away the fact you still have it in Dubai.
So one of the reasons for individuals and corporates to come to UAE and this part of the world is taxation. Corporate tax almost doesn't exist. But you had the recent G7 summit where they talked about 15% minimum corporate tax. I think that plays the dynamics here. If you are a UAE-based company with a subsidiary or a branch in one of those jurisdictions, what's your view on that?
We have to just wait and see. The UAE has got a very dormant corporate tax system in place onshore. It's always been there. It can go up as high as 55%, but it's never been enforced. So whether or not we will see or hear of conversations of the system being activated, that's yet to be seen. Whether that will be used as a catalyst to differentiate between the onshore market and the free zone and just again drive that USP between the two jurisdictions, yet to see. But the mechanism in there is there. I just don't think they're going to run at it, because I think the UAE does want to have this as a driver for FDI. They don't want to put a barrier in after a new barrier after removing an old one.
And the very important part of the whole ecosystem was the Emiratis nationals. How do you see now them playing the role in the overall scheme of things and social impact of this development for them? What's your view on that?
What we have seen since the announcement is that the role of Emirati participation onshore has shifted. So over 1,000 activities in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, now open to 100% foreign ownership. Many activities have now been reclassified so that you must have a local service agent. I believe that there is a shift in the role, more so than just a lack of a role altogether. So I don't see it as just a pure negative. At the end of the day, if you had an Emirati partner in your business, they may enjoy some of the success, but they're also holding some of the risk. So especially if they were 51% shareholder, it was long forgotten that they would hold the lion's share of the risk. I think it's far neater if there is a requirement for an Emirati that as a service agent where there isn't an equity participation, it's a service-driven exercise. It's easier for both parties.
Great. Thank you for this very insightful conversation. It was very helpful. This is an evolving situation, and I'm sure there'll be many more questions down the line. There are more clarities coming down the line, and we may have a follow-through of this session. But thank you very much for this Lovely evening today, Carl. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.